or PDP. Governors of the PDP convened in Ibadan this week, grappling with the fallout of the Supreme Court's ruling that reinstated Senator Samuel Anyanwu as National Secretary, a decision that directly contradicts their preference for Sunday Ude-Okoye. The governors, in a bold move, rejected both Anyanwu and Ude-Okoye, appointing Setonji Koshoedo as acting National Secretary instead, which makes us ask, is there any end in sight to this crisis with the resolutions made by the governors? Joining us for this discussion, we do have Sir Demola Olamrewaju, who is here with us. He is a member of the PDP, and most importantly, I'm sure he's following very closely on what is taking place and happening in your party. What's this, difference or differences that's actually happening within the PDP? Now you're not in support of what the Supreme Court has, in quotes, mentioned, and you're going ahead to ensure that, you might want to drum support for someone else. I mean, what's happening?
Thank you, Joe. I think what we witnessed over the weekend was the voice of PDP governors, but it was, for me, clearly the hand of Wike and the APC. With all due respect to some of them whom I respect tremendously, it was at best a pusillanimous communique. And I think the giveaway starts from the first thing it addressed, which was the coalition issue. It was a 7-point communique. The first thing it addressed was the coalition issue. And I think it puts the party at variance with what Nigerians are saying. A majority of Nigerians going through the hardship of the APC looked at the numbers of 2023 and said, His Excellency Atiku Abubakar got 6.9 million votes. His Excellency Peter Obi got 6.1 million votes. If you have the combination of that, then you can kick out the APC. And that's where the talk of the coalition has started from. Mm-hmm. The PDP governors have put themselves at variance with the position of those Nigerians, and they have put themselves in line with what the APC wants, which is APC does not want the coalition, and they have also aligned with that position. The second thing they then went further to mention, after saying that there's no coalition needed, that the PDP was enough, then you would have expected that in subsequent paragraphs they would at least step up and try to be opposition. But I'm surprised that 11 governors of an opposition party, in quotes, gathered, and in their communique, they were not bold enough to mention, even if for once, the name of the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. They could not mention his name boldly, yet you are telling Nigerians that you don't want any coalition that will be opposition. They mentioned in the second paragraph, they mentioned the secretaryship issue of the party, which I'm surprised, because what the Supreme Court said was that the internal affairs of the party remains the internal affairs of the party. Governor Peter Mba was there. He's the leader of the party from the Southeast. The Southeast caucus of the party has ratified Ude-Okoye's appointment as the replacement for Samuel Anyanwu. So he should have pointed out that to his fellow governors. But they preferred to be silent on the matter of Wike. They preferred not to annoy Wike, not to upset him. And they simply said, rather than upset Wike, or rather than upset common sense, let's take a middle ground between Wike and common sense, because both positions are obviously at variance. They could not point that out. That was number 2. Number 3, they then went to the issue of security, to the issue of state of emergency in Rivers State, saying that they are in solidarity with Governor Sim Fubara. You were not bold enough to invite Sim Fubara to be at that meeting physically, to send a clear message to the whole world that Sim Fubara remains a PDP governor who enjoys the mandate of the people, and that you are at the Supreme Court over this issue. They were further not bold enough to mention the name of the instigator, Nyesom Wike. They were not bold enough to mention the name of the executor, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, again. And then they talked about insecurity in the 4th paragraph. You could not mention the CNC. So for me, it is very clear. It was a pusillanimous position, and it is also very clearly the hand of Wike, the voice of PDP governors. That is what it was.
Very watered down communique. You might even think it was drafted by someone in the All Progressive Congress. Now, rejecting this coalition, like you said, is at variance with what majority of Nigerians wants. Does this put the PDP in a stronger or weaker position? And where are they going to get these numbers from?
Well, I think for those of them who are aligned with the APC, who are aligned with Nyesom Wike, who have openly come out. I mean, Nyesom Wike and his allies although they are members of the PDP, they have openly come out to say that they are going to work for the re-election of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And so what that means is that it is at variance with what majority of Nigerians want. So I think PDP as a party, the governors do not speak for the party. And I think, I should point that out in relation to points 5 and 6 from their communique. In point 5 and 6, they mentioned that the party is going to have a national convention on so date. This is the name of the convention chairman. This is the name of the secretary. This is the name of this. The Governors Forum is not known to the PDP constitution. You don't have those powers, Your Excellencies. You do not have those powers. You don't have the powers to fix a convention with the party. Only the NEC, on the instructing the NWC, has the power to fix a date for the convention. They've even chosen a venue. So it tells you the agenda, of these governors, and some of us understand that they are trying to position the party to negotiate with the APC. Their heart is mostly in APC already. They are aligned, trying to secure their own interest. So I think it puts the PDP in a not here, not there. For those of us who are clearly opposed to the APC administration, I think that we will continue to look towards the coalition. But for those of them who are resolved to work for the APC, I think they should be bold enough to come out openly. And I say that with all due respect again, because, I am aware that some governors are merely playing along with them. Some governors really want the coalition, and I think that at the right time, Nigerians will know who is where. But there are definitely some of them who are merely the voices of Nyesom Wike, merely the voices of the APC, and are acting on the instruction of the APC. Okay,
we'll still come back to look at this 7-point agenda, but number 4, of course, was criticizing insecurity in several parts of the country, and they condemned insecurity in Plateau State. We have our correspondent, Chizoba Anyanwu, who is with us in Plateau to bring us the pulse of the people. Chizoba, good morning. First of all, our condolences to the people on the plateau for all the losses they've had to bear, not just in the past 24 to 48 hours, but even in the past days and over the past years. Talk to us about where you are, what the situation really is, and what the people are saying.
Okay, thanks, Oli, for having me this morning. It's been a sorrowful moment both in Plateau State. Over some time now, we've been having what people have described as relative peace. But unfortunately, recently, it seems we are going back to square one, as people would say. And this is sad. People go to sleep and they don't get to wake up in the morning, not because they were sick or that something happened to them, but just that an enemy came and struck, leaving people dead just like that. So it's a sad situation, and people have not been feeling good about it. The governor is making a state broadcast this morning to say more about this incident and probably what he thinks will be done to end this resurgence of killings here and there in Plateau State. Okay, so I am here in Zamaganda area of Jos in Plateau State, and behind me you can see people are going about their lawful businesses. Businesses are thriving, and people going to work, to their offices and all those. Everybody's minding their own business. So it's a sad situation, actually. Yesterday, I spent almost the whole day in Bassa trying to gather situation details of what has happened and what could be done to end all this, So it's a sad one. However, I have some residents of Jos here with me to express their feelings too about the situation. Okay, sir. Please join me here. Thank you. Good morning. Can you tell us your name? Please come closer. Thank you. Okay, so you're Mr. who? Mr. Joseph. Okay. So Mr. Joseph is going to tell us how he feels about this situation on the plateau and what he thinks can be done about this. Please speak a bit louder.
After a while of peace, Plateau State, very unfortunate. Let's talk about the day to discover all this insurgency. We are falling again. I wonder what's really happening in the city. And in this situation, I feel the government is very responsible enough to raise with the insurgents. We don't have a very stern measures to curtail all this. That we are expected that it's very unfortunate. I think the government needs to go back.
Chizoba, unfortunately, we're struggling with your audio. We don't seem to be able to have a clear audio. We hope that we can reconnect with you before this conversation is over. But we'll come back into the studio here to speak with our guest, Demola. I did talk about number 4, the the PDP criticizing the insecurity in Plateau State. We've just spoken to Chieftain Anyanwu, who's on the Plateau. Plateau is a PDP state, if I'm correct. I mean,
Yes,
we have a PDP governor.
Yes, it
is there anything that the People's Democratic Party should have done or can do differently? Is it enough to just commiserate with the people on the Plateau?
I think, to be fair to the PDP, some of us have known that, I mean, in 2015, when PDP was voted out of power, a lot of Nigerians expected that PDP would transmute into becoming an opposition party. But unfortunately, it is difficult to transmute politically as a political party because the party was not built to be an opposition party. And that's the problem that many of us have with the party. We've tried within the party to move the party from that complacent entity into being an opposition party, but because it was not custom built to be that way, it has struggled to transmute into being an opposition party. If you remember, before 2015, when APC governors were in opposition, they would have gone to Plateau State physically. It happened. They went to Borno State at the height of insecurity to show the people of Borno State that they are in solidarity with them. But when you have 11 governors on the platform of the party, many of whom are actually in alliance with APC and Nyesom Wike, so they are not even interested in playing opposition in the first place. Because what you are doing is you are just making press releases, releasing communiques. How about visiting the state? I mean, His Excellency Peter Obi has visited Plateau State. So why have the other PDP governors not visited the place physically? Because they do not have an opposition mentality. And that's why Nigerians are saying that let us have an opposition coalition. Bring His Excellency Atiku Abubakar, bring His Excellency Peter Obi, bring forces within the APC that are not happy with the way Nigeria is, and Nigerians will vote for them. Because we saw it in 2023. Many of these same governors were against their own party candidate in 2023, yet he won 6.9 million votes. Many of them were the ones who orchestrated the exit of Peter Obi from PDP, yet he won 6.1 million votes. So Nigerians are no longer about party. Nigerians just want to see an opposition to the APC. And I think on the issue of insecurity, making it number 4 on your agenda in your 7-point communique, I think it shows a general, there's no hunger basically to play opposition. There's no drive. It's not there. The likes of His Excellency El Rufai, His Excellency Peter Obi, His Excellency Atiku Abubakar, they are showing more fire. And Nigerians are tired of waiting for parties at this point.
Okay, I just want to push back a bit on something you've said about opposition and the PDP not playing opposition the way that they should play opposition. I think 2 weeks ago or last week, I'm not quite sure now, we had Otumba Koshoedo on the show. And he was speaking about opposition and why Nigerians are always criticizing the PDP as not being a formidable opposition. And part of what I remember him saying is Nigerians expect PDP to play opposition in a certain way. They expect PDP to be maybe physical, that PDP is not going to protest, that an opposition would put out letters, put out articles, criticize policies, and that's what the PDP has been doing. So beyond the Plateau State saga, which is a very important conversation to have, what will opposition, a holistic opposition, look like for the PDP, or what should it look like, since you don't agree that the PDP is playing opposition like it should?
All Nigerians want to see is a bunch of politicians who will put their own interest aside and fight for Nigerians against the APC. That's what Nigerians want to see at this point. Nigerians don't care whether you are called PDP, whether you are called Labour. Nigerians just want to see a group of politicians who are out there championing their cause, speaking on television about issues, bringing issues to the foreground. Okay, not just, you have a press release and then you list 7 things, in no particular order, of which number 1 was the issue of the coalition, which betrays what the intent was of that meeting yesterday. Because the APC is the one that fears the coalition, but then they wanted the PDP to also speak up against it. And that's why they got the governors to do that. So if you were so concerned about Nigerians, that should have been the number 1 point in your 7-point communique. Okay? So what Nigerians want to see is an opposition coalition that is out there actively fighting for the average man. I mean, you have a lot of issues that you can bring up every day. These governors, with all due respect to them again, these governors do not look like people who are ready to fight for the average man. They do not look like people who are ready to fight for you and I.
All right. I mean, after this meeting, there were a lot of talks concerning especially the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike. This meeting saw them speak in one voice unanimously that they think he should be actually sacked. There were rumors that some agreed that Nyesom Wike, the FCT minister, should be removed from the party. But you've also highlighted that they seem like a group that is being put together by the same FCT minister. Is the PDP likely going to have His Excellency Atiku Abubakar as the front runner in the forthcoming election? Or do you really think the party has any chance at all?
I think to start with, these governors, I mean, if it happens, it will be a victory for democracy within the PDP if you have Nyesom Wike suspended, but I will not hold my breath. And I think, their pusillanimous position put Governor Sim Fubara in trouble, because at the time Nyesom Wike was raging and puffing against Sim Fubara, these guys were holding rallies all over the country and saying that Wike should not put fire in my state too. That was what they came out and were saying when Wike said he will put fire in any PDP state that intervenes in this matter. They weakened the hand of that man. And I think, His Excellency Governor Demola Olamrewaju should be very, very wary of some of these colleagues, because they can weaken him for the APC in his own election, which is in 2026 before 2027. He needs to be wary about disclosing all his plans to them, because, these governors, their hearts are really with Nyesom Wike. So I think that's where a majority of the problem is from. But fortunately, the party does not, the governors do not speak for the party. They do not have any constitutional role beyond being governors in their individual capacity. On the issue of Atiku Abubakar and the PDP, I think Atiku Abubakar has had 2 runs on the PDP platform. If the PDP says that they want him as the candidate again, I think the coalition has to be bigger than PDP at this point. PDP must be ready to sacrifice its platform for a larger coalition that will involve not just the PDP. And to end my thoughts on that, I would say that one of the biggest problems that people have with the People's Democratic Party, especially a lot of political stakeholders, is this attitude of a group of people who are unknown to the constitution of the PDP, purporting to speak for the party. They are acting basically like landlords, which means that if you bring in people from APC, if you manage to bring in Peter Obi back into the PDP, certain people will always remind them that they are visitors within this house, because they are already acting as landlords. So everyone prefers, let's be on a neutral platform where there's no landlord, there's no tenant. We all are right. It's a fresh start. So this thing they are doing is exactly part of the problem, where people can just gang up one morning, not known to the constitution, and you're already picking the date of the convention. They've even chosen all their members to be the chairman of the convention committee, vice chairman, national secretary of the convention committee. They've chosen the chairman of the zoning committee, all among their governors, which is absolutely illegal. They have no powers to do that.
So who's going to stop them? I mean, who's going to speak out? Because
are we going to have more court cases?
Yes. Because it seems like
the good thing, I think for me the good thing is that even they know that what the pronouncements they made, it's not what the paper on which it was written, with all due respect to them, it's not what the paper on which it was written, because you really do not have any powers to enforce this thing. Even NWC does not have any powers to do it. NWC will propose and then take it to NEC, and then NEC will ratify. After NEC ratifies, then that becomes what it is.
To the PDP constitution. Now, there's so many people that are watching, PDP members also, and there's a saying that, in politics, it's never over until it's truly over. So can we disregard some of the things that came out in the communique, especially with regards to the coalition talks? Does it mean that it's game, set, and match for coalition? The PDP governor said they're not interested in it, it will never happen, or there's still a possibility in the future that this could happen? I
think a coalition will happen, whether anyone likes it or not.
Is it with the SDP?
With PDP?
Well, it will involve a lot of parties. It would involve a lot of personalities. I don't see a clear party as the destination yet. I think those decisions will be taken. But what has been going on for me politically over the past few weeks is that there has been a deliberate stoking of the fires to try to see who will come out against the coalition. We want to know those who are with APC, because nobody wants moles.
Yeah, but the governors
in the coalition. So, well, yes, but we also know that some of them are perpetually, opposed, fundamentally opposed to the Aso Rock plan, to the Bola Tinubu and the APC. They are fundamentally opposed to them. And even governors within the APC themselves are afraid of, on this issue of the Supreme Court, where, the PDP governors went, we know that a lot of APC governors approached the PDP governors and said, you guys have to fight this thing. Because they are afraid it could be them in Bola Tinubu's second term. So let Nigerians should just continue with the faith in, in the ability of our political leaders to act right, to put selfish interest aside, ahead of 2027. I think that there will be an opposition coalition. What has just happened yesterday is that a group of governors looking after their own interest, expressing their own opinion at the end of the day. PDP members, because look, even in 2023, PDP governors, 5 of them came out to work against the party in favor of Bola Tinubu, in favor of the APC, the G5. So in 2027, it's going to be a state of flux. People are going to be moving. There's going to be a lot of alignment and realignment, and we will keep observing. But we want the key personalities. Many Nigerians want the key personalities to align, at the end of the day.
And if this happens, these alignments, do you think they will be willing to set aside their personal desires for leadership? For example, His Excellency Peter Obi is vying for president. We don't know yet what his plans for 2027 are.
Yes.
His Excellency Alhaji Atiku Abubakar was vying for president. Do you think that both of them are willing to step aside and say, let the party decide who will be our official flag bearer?
Well, I cannot speak for anyone, but I will say that Nigerians are looking to them to do the right thing. The numbers are there, the numbers are clear, and even that is not a guarantee of victory. We are just saying that let that be the first thing that you do. Put aside your selfish ambition, focus on what needs to be done for 2027. I hope that when the time comes that they will be able to rise up as statesmen and do the right thing.
Demola Olamrewaju, it's always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Olive. It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you, Benga. Thank you so much.
The PDP all the best. At the end of the day, we want great leadership for our country.